everybody, and welcome to the Triforce podcast with me and Sips.
Hello.
And Pyrian Flax.
Hello.
That's right. We're here.
Hello.
For you again.
This is episode 97 or something?
97,000.
98?
Yeah.
90.
Oh.
Man. What if we just stopped at 99? Like we just lost interest all of a sudden and just stopped.
We should have stopped at 69, if anything.
Yeah, we should have actually. That
but also, if we've gone past 69, we should probably carry on till 420.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then we just segue nicely into 666.
Yeah, let's get 666 on there.
Oh,
yeah. And then we end up at 1488, which is like a Nazi code, I think. Something to do with Nazis.
Right. It's something like that.
It's something like that, yeah. So
have you made it to Iron Maiden yet on your album listening?
No, not yet. Actually, we've taken a break because everybody's been busy. So we last left off at what's the last album we listened to? The Band by The Band was the last album that we listened to.
Wow.
Which was an interesting one. But yeah, we haven't listened to anything else since. But it's just been a busy time for the album boys. There's more busyness coming up too, because I'm going away on vacation next week for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sunny Canada, where the temperature is low of 0 and high of 5. I'm going to be there for about 10 days, freezing my tabernacles off. So that's going to be nice. But I haven't been back for like 10 years. So no, I'm no portage this time of year.
You're not booked to portage?
Nah, it's way too cold.
Portage in April? Are you crazy?
Yeah, you can.
What are you, some kind of portage amateur?
Yeah, the Great Lakes
I
are still
see.
frozen over completely, so they don't thaw out until June. So so there's not going to be a podcast for like 2 weeks after this one.
Rip.
Yeah, rip indeed. I'm going to be.
What we need to do then is say some really controversial shit.
Yes.
And then the subreddit can
tide
spaz
people
out
over.
about it for
Yes.
2 weeks.
That's exactly what we. Okay,
The biggest
go.
I got so much shit for saying that Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, the Harry Potter was a rip-off of Lord of the Rings. It's just something I say to annoy my wife and kids. I don't care what you idiots think, and I don't care about the fucking fan fiction or how good it is. Oh, Red Rising belongs in the teen section as well, kid. I don't care. I don't care. It's the whole point of this podcast is I don't give a shit.
I'm so glad. I don't read any comments, so I never get any like.
Oh, they're funny.
Wait,
I
have
never
we
get
ever
any
had
flack.
have we ever had the which is better, Star Wars or Star Trek debate?
Oh, God. I like both. I don't really care what people think about which is better or worse. Does it matter?
I think that's a very lazy man thing, right?
It's
just
a very
they both have
lazy
star
man
in the name.
I know,
right?
but it's
They're
very
sufficiently
triggering to a lot of people. That's why I brought it up.
It is.
Do you know why it's annoying? I think it's one of those debates that you have in the pub with people you don't really know.
You have it in a pub with people you don't really know, and the people that you don't really know a lot about Star Wars or Star Trek as well. I think that's what drives everybody so nuts about that debate.
Yeah, they say, look, sorry, this is the Women's Institute monthly pub meeting. Why are you trying to bring up Star Trek and Star Wars? No, listen, Picard was a better captain than Han Solo was in the Millennium Falcon. You understand me? He was just a smuggler. Look at what Picard did. He built bridges. I'm sorry, I don't know who those people are. Would you please leave? We're here to talk about knitting.
It's a bit like one of those. It's like the opposite of a "would you rather" question, right? Because these "would you rather" questions are always like, "Would you rather have the hands of a cat or the feet
they're
of a
so
dog?"
ridiculous, aren't they?
Right? They're always like negative, right? They're always like two things that you like, two nightmarish things.
Yes.
Right? Whereas what's better, Star Trek or Star Wars, is kind of like choosing between good things, as if you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I don't want to lose either of these good things from my life. And in a way, that's bad, right? It's a weird psychological trap. I don't know. It's for me like those kind of would you rather questions always sort of slightly upset me, I guess. Like in a way like that they force you to envision in your mind, imagine a negative outcome,
Right.
and like try and rationalize which one you would have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's like for a moment you're like, oh fucking hell, it would be nice to have that. I mean, the cat's hands would be quite soft, but a dog's legs?
Oh, it's impossible, though. I had one the other day where it was like, would you rather your whole body be covered in paper cuts, or would you rather just your eyeballs have paper cuts on them? And it's like, well fuck me. Neither one, please. Like, that's just a hell. Like, that's an eternal hell, isn't it? Like, that's probably some form of hell, like if hell exists. I talk about this a lot, I guess, but I truly believe that, hell isn't just like this cave underground full of lava and a hooved devil or whatever. It's like your own personal hell, right? Everybody gets a personal hell. Like mine would be once
To
again,
be
I've
asked
said
would
this.
you rather questions
No,
until
well,
you die.
that be asked would I rather questions whilst eternally crawling through a ventilation shaft that's very dark and it never ends. You're all confined in there and you can't ever leave. You'll never see daylight again or whatever. And somebody's just whispering in your mind to you, "Would you rather?" questions, and it drives you mad. And that's your eternity. That's the
a
torment.
very specific hell. I think that's...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think hell is specific. I don't think it's just like, oh, hey, Larry, you're in hell too. Oh, God. Okay, well, let's find a nice place to sit near this pool of lava and just sit here for the rest of eternity. No, I think you have to be tormented for the rest of eternity if you're going to hell, right? That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's
guess
why people pray every
Larry.
day.
Hey, Bob. Hey, wow, how was the morning's poker up the ass session? Oh, it was horrible. The hot poker was right up my ass. Satan just really jabbed that right. Oh, he does that, doesn't he, Bob? Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, what do we got off for this afternoon? Oh, yeah, being flayed alive over Satan's barbecue. Oh, cool. Oh, normal everyday day in hell then.
Yeah.
It's like, it wouldn't be that. It would be like fucking queuing up with some sweaty, stinky person with bad breath, like behind you, and you can't stop smelling them for like, and the queue's
Can I
not
just
moving.
say that
What?
you guys are listing things that could happen as samples of hell, which implies hell is other people and we're already in hell, which is something that some people
Well,
suggested.
that's when they say hell on earth. I think that's what they mean. They're not talking about a war zone or whatever.
Yeah.
What if we are in hell right now?
What if this podcast is our
Yes.
own personal hell?
Listening to this podcast for the rest of eternity with Bob and Larry, and you haven't managed to find a comfortable spot to sit near a pool of lava in hell.
You have to listen to this podcast, and all we ever do is talk about whether we've talked about something before for eternity.
Oh my God, that's what it is. Yeah. And we have like a dad argument about something.
Yeah.
Thing is, like, every argument we have is from a 35-year-old plus perspective, right?
Yeah,
so we're probably totally missing like a whole world of new research that's come out since we left school, right? Because it's 20 years ago that the textbooks I had when I was at school were like 20 years out of date. So I mean, I'm really based on my education. It's like what was cool 40 years ago.
Cavemen.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is bollocks. They're like, this Pluto's not a planet. The fucking this dinosaur didn't exist. Like, oh geez, like it's a lot of stuff's changed.
Fuck.
Climate change turns out not real.
Yeah.
According to the president. Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
back in the day,
why would he
40
lie?
years ago,
Why would anyone lie about something?
No,
like that?
exactly.
why would they? So no, but the problem with would you rather questions is that like some of them are shit, but some of them are always like supernatural, right? They're like, would you rather be invisible or be able to fly? You know what I mean? Like the dumb kind of.
Well, those would you rather questions to me are like the which is better, Star Wars or Star Trek. That's from a lazy person who doesn't really do would you rathers. They haven't thought about it much.
Yeah, you call this a would you rather? That's a low
piss
effort
poor
would you
excuse for a would you rather. All right.
Talking about hell. Interestingly enough, I was reading something about it the other day, and originally hell was like a prison just for Satan because he was chucked out of heaven for, I don't know, saying that people were all right or something. I can't remember what he said.
Right.
Yeah.
And they chucked him out.
That's right.
And they stuck him in.
Gabriel,
Yeah.
have you heard what Satan's been saying?
He's been saying that basically people aren't sinners and they're all right. That was the gist of it.
He's been saying that you should look at a lady's titties on the internet and fucking put some money down on red on roulette. I think we should fucking put him in prison.
He says that it's okay to jizz once in a while into a stuffed dolphin, especially if the stuffed dolphin belongs to your children. Okay. It's fine.
I'm with them now.
I'm just saying, I have a feeling that the whole point of hell, it's never properly described, really, when they talk about all the pit of fire and all that kind of stuff. Who knows how it was translated or which which particular monk scribe was jerking off to images of people being burned alive that day and decided he'd chuck that in. But the thing is, if Satan was just banished for not wanting God, then hell might, like, as far as I've been led to believe, hell's meant to just be a place where you can't know God. And I'm thinking, as an atheist, is much going to change? You know what I mean?
Well,
if I go to hell, am I just going to be there and thinking,
No, I think the idea is that if you're an atheist and then you end up in hell, you're like, oh, crap, maybe I should have believed in God all along. I think you have the notion of God and you yearn for him. when you're in hell. You're
Where
like,
you'd know he was real. Yeah, but
why
then
didn't I
hell would
bask in
have
your
to be
light?
bad. If hell
why
was
didn't
just
I bask
standard,
in his with a capital H light
right?
while I had the chance? And then you repent for the rest of your
Now, is there any way out? Do you suppose? Because
eternity.
once you know,
no, that's it.
But
and
then that's kind of
that's what modern society struggles with, because there's always a way to wiggle out of everything. Look at OJ, look at, but when it comes to heaven or hell, you know what I mean? There's
However,
there's
doesn't
no half
that fly in
stepping.
the face of the Christian sentiment of forgiveness?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's not an airtight case. You could poke holes in it all day long, but it'll always come back to you're going to hell for questioning it. Yeah. That's the catch-all. So.
I think like hell has obviously perceptions of it are basically what people at the time thought, right? Because back in the day when Jesus times was around, like no one fucking
was supposedly
knew
around.
about
Let's just add that
shit.
in, just to for the humanists out there like me.
They were no one knew about shit, right? They didn't know about fucking iPads and guns and I don't know, fucking stupid shit like fireworks, right? If you imagine, it's like
right,
it's like
those three things were unknown at the time.
Lewis trying to think about what's changed.
Maybe fireworks were actually there.
iPads, guns, fireworks. It pretty much sums it up.
Whatever, right? And so back in the day, their simple idea of hell was formed from what the stuff they had, and that was burning alive on a hot poker up the arse, right? Simple stuff that they could imagine, right?
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, hell is more imagined by what we can imagine, and there's a lot worse we can imagine,
Yeah.
Like God, just think about being talked to by a boring old woman for like half an hour. God, that's terrible, terrible hell.
Yeah.
Hate that.
What
stuff,
about what about eternally being
shit.
stuck in a hospital waiting room with a bunch of bronies? That would be
exactly
pretty bad too.
there's or being transported to a room full of a big Magic the Gathering tournament, and everywhere you look, there's a butt crack, and you can't get out.
Yeah,
all the doors are locked. There's just butt cracks forever of sweaty hairy butt cracks of fat, sweaty nerds everywhere you look.
Just fat,
nightmare.
sweaty butt cracks. That's a heaven for me, but it just shows that like one man's trash is another man's treasure, I guess.
Some people, I'm sure, some sweaty monks are, wanking off over that, and good for them. Maybe that's some people's idea of heaven. The thing is, we can't know. We don't know. And the thing is, like, as we move forward in time, because here's one of those would you rather questions. Like classically, it's like, would you rather be transported back in time 500 years or forward in time 500 years? Right? Imagine in 500 years. We're all up in like fucking Futurama spinning space.
Yeah, but what if in 500 years' time, and nobody could predict this, the Earth is fragmented because it's been it's like another big celestial body slammed into it, and there's no life left on Earth. So you go forward 500 years, and you instantly burn to death and die.
Well, I mean, that would be bad, obviously, but I mean,
you'd send a little probe out first to tell you, have a nose around,
like a time probe, just to say, like,
launch the time probe, and you could the time probe can have a look about, and you can go to that exact point, and be like, cool.
Yeah, I don't know about this time probe. Like,
what's wrong with a time probe? You can send a person, you can send a time probe.
Well, then you could do window shopping, and you could min-max your experience and stuff.
Yeah, you would have to min-max it if you're time traveling.
Holy shit! So anyway, like, imagine what their hell is like. Their hell is like, can you imagine being like flarped on by a grebulon? That's got to be a bad one, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know. That might be what hell is like.
Or what about flarping into a stuffed grebulon as well? Original sin.
There's a lot of talk about burning in the Bible when it comes to hell. I found 20 verses about it, and there's lots of burning. About fiery lakes of sulfur, a really hot forge.
Well, they weren't very imaginative, is all I'm saying.
No, they weren't imaginative.
Monk,
I think back in the day, though, blacksmithing was like the new, and like now it's like, I design iPads, and that's like the new big job, isn't it? Everybody's like,
you shall be cast into the fiery.
But back then
pit
it was like, I'm the town blacksmith, and everybody's like, woo, because he forges metal in fire or whatever. So that's what, like, back then, that was like the big upcoming job, and everybody was obsessed with it, and that's why a lot of
the kids wanted to be blacksmiths.
That's it. That's why. That's why a lot of the imagery around heaven and hell and stuff is based in and around blacksmithing.
I also think in the hole, the scariest thing most people would have seen would have been a big fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, what else? I mean, obviously there would have been natural disasters just like there are now, but they wouldn't have seen the tanks of the Third Reich rolling across the plains of their village. They wouldn't have seen planes dropping bombs. They wouldn't have seen nuclear weapons. They wouldn't have seen.
They'd never seen a brony.
They'd never met a brony.
some of the-
They'd never flopped on a stuffed grubulon. They'd
Yep.
never seen none of that. How can they possibly have any perception of what hell is really like? It's this supernatural, omniscient thing that just stretches into the distant future, and it's as foreign to us now, theoretically, as it would have been to them then. To the point that, I mean, if we went back now with all of our technology, they'd be like, you know, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they'd say burn.
I feel like a lot of
What
the
is that
stuff that
fucking
they
stuffed toy that you're having sex with, you weirdo?
Yeah.
And we'd be like, this. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah,
you
God,
not-
if you took someone
2019.
from 2,000 years ago now, and you said to them, like, if you read a lot of the verses in the Bible, you know, sexual perversion is a big thing.
Yes.
For them, like that's a big bad thing. Like the Sodom and Gomorrah, those guys were up to all sorts, to the point where the entire city, God just leveled it, which is pretty fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, he's obviously dead against that. But most of those folks would have had no idea about things like fleshlights.
No.
You know what I mean? If you showed it to them, they'd be
Exactly.
like, what do you mean a fleshlight? You'd be like, well, it's a piece of rubber and you fuck it. And they'd be like, you're going to hell. You see,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it.
I know that's not in the Bible specifically, but
I feel like a
that,
lot
that,
of this.
that should be covered. What we need to do is we need to update the Bible with all of this extra pervs shit in it.
Yeah.
What's that passage from the Bible that I only know about because of Ghostbusters, where they're talking about it's going to rain cats
River
and
of
dogs
fire
and
and
river of
they
fire and
never
there's like
said cats
a
and dogs.
plague of locusts and flooding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that stuff is dated now, though, because nowadays, like if any of that stuff happened, there'd be some way around it or some.
When they talk about the
science.
flood, you just say, "Well, we've got Thames Barrier, haven't we?"
Yeah,
Thames
exactly.
Barrier,
We
no
got
problem.
sandbags and whatever, like there's ways to like deal with this stuff so that it wouldn't be the world-ending catastrophe that it's like described in the Bible.
Yeah.
But the Bible didn't somehow
I mean,
predict
locusts
things
were like, that's terrible for them, right?
for example, the Bible never once mentions the internet, and I think that it would be a bigger catastrophe if everybody just lost internet access.
Yeah.
Like straight away. Like,
Did they
what if all
mention
this-
volcanoes at all in
They
the
never
Bible?
mentioned. Yeah, they did. I'm pretty sure they did in the Bible, but they never mentioned satellites either. Like, what if all the satellites just stopped working and we couldn't do our Instagram posts and stuff? Fuck me. That's
I would say this to
that's
anyone
worse
who's
than a
ever
lot of
used
things.
anyone who's ever used a fleshlight or hugged a body pillow or been a brony.
Yeah.
Listen to this from Mark chapter 9 verse 43.
okay. This applies to me 100%. I'm ready.
If your hand causes you to stumble, which I guess means to sin,
Yeah.
cut it off.
Right.
It is better for you to enter life
I mean, it's there in
maimed.
black and white.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
that's
clear
it.
as
That's
day.
all there is to it.
It is better
if
for you to enter
if
life maimed
any-
than with two hands to go into hell, where the fire never goes out.
It never goes out. Yeah. There is a fire that never goes out. It's a very famous song by Morrissey.
Yes,
who's
Morrissey sang about
probably also going to hell
hell.
at some point, just for being such a joy vacuum and
Yeah.
generally a miserable
That was
person.
I think that was the same with one of his bands, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Joy vacuum.
Joy vacuum, yeah.
and the hellbound fleshlight user.
That's what the song Highway to Hell was all about. It's about overusing your fleshlight. Oh, fuck.
I mean, I
Jesus
just think
Christ.
there are lots of things that we consider acceptable nowadays that Christians aren't saying that using fleshlights means you're
It's the
hellbound.
loopholes, though.
I don't know what the Christian stance is on fleshlights, though.
I mean,
because it's-
I've met some of them that are dead against masturbation, and
Right.
I checked out of religion at that point.
why would so what's the deal with that then? What's wrong with masturbating? Like, why
Thou
is it
shalt not spill thy seed on the ground.
right? Okay, is that
In other
okay.
words, it's got to go in a woman.
It
or
doesn't
you're
go
in
on
big
the
trouble.
ground for me though. Usually, it just goes like into my hand or like right down the drain when I'm in the shower. Or
We've got
you know what I
modern
mean? Like,
techniques. I guess in the
Right.
past they just
Okay.
fucking yanked it out on the ground
yeah,
in the dirt and kicked some
They
dirt
didn't
over
have
it.
showers
Yeah.
or privacy, I guess, back then.
yeah.
So,
I guess yeah.
That's
weird.
why you know the way the symbol of the fish that Christians have in their car windows at the back windows, like that fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that was like the secret symbol because of the. I
Jesus
guess
fish.
Jesus would paint that. He just if you were a Christian, you'd make a subtle fish with your toe to show other people, like I'm a Christian. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, and then you could just rub it out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
If there's any
I think
jizz lying around, I'll look it up.
The real
Oh,
reason
gross.
that they were making this fishing is to cover up all the piles of cum that everyone's leaving in the fucking dirt.
It's just mountains of cum everywhere.
That's him
Yuck.
scuffing out jizz, and they're like, "Oh, Jesus is making a special symbol with his foot." No, he's marking out where some dirty bastard fucking
Spilled his
jerked
seed on
on
the
the
ground.
fucking ground.
Cardinal
It's
sin.
like,
yeah.
right, that's it. Rule 1 of God. Yeah, we don't do this fucking spunking on the ground anymore, please. Yes, Jesus.
Oh,
It's like
God.
someone's got really pissed off and they've written a list of rules and it's ended up turning like getting into the Bible. It's like, oh yeah, let's fucking put this list of rules in there.
I can
Yeah.
tell you right now, no one that wrote the Bible was a parent. I guarantee you. There's nothing in there about tidying your room, scraping your plate.
Yeah.
None of that. There's thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. That's pretty fucking vague. I want specifics. When I tell you it's bedtime, you go to bed. If I say lights out at 8:30, it's lights out at 8:30 and don't dick about. That's rule 1.
Yeah,
Rule
that's
2.
rule 1. You know
If
what?
you say you're hungry and I give you dinner, eat your sodding dinner. That's rule 2. I could go on.
Yeah, no, I could as
Go on.
well. What I've decided recently is, and I don't know if you agree with this being a parent yourself, Flax, is that for me, I don't understand why people insist on sitting down and eating together. Like I find dinner time a nightmare with kids.
It's
Like,
very stressful.
Holy fuck, you're
our
constantly
kids eat-
like,
yeah.
sit
Don't
up
do
straight,
that.
sit properly.
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Watch, don't put your hands on that. Your hands are covered in mashed potato. Don't touch that. Wait to have your hands wiped. Can you stop talking, please, and just eat? Come on, eat your dinner now. No, you can't be full. You've only had one. Like that's the like it
Yeah.
goes on and on and
It's
on
horrible.
the entire duration of a meal. But then when you meet up with like extended family or friends and stuff, like let's go out for a meal. You're like, fuck no. Like I'm not going. Like I'm not going to subject you to this. It's bad enough that I have to live through it every day. So I think they should ban family meals. I think they're garbage.
I'll be honest with you. Day to day, I don't bother sitting down. and
No, me
eating
neither. I
with the
stand
kids.
up in the kitchen and eat after my kids have eaten.
Yeah,
because
I mean, generally,
otherwise
I'll
it's a
go and eat
nightmare.
and watch the news.
Yeah, I'm
they're
the
in
same,
the kitchen.
like-
I mean, I can see them, and I want it to be a boring experience for them
Yeah.
day to day. I don't want this to be the highlight of the day because I think that makes people just focus on food too much. Here's your dinner, eat your dinner, and then you
Yeah,
can come
eat
and
your
watch
dinner
telly.
and then
so
go,
they get on
go
with it.
back to doing what you're doing.
They get on with it. And if they're dawdling, I'm just like, you're staying up there till you finished. Nice and boring. Get on with it. And then they actually do. Whereas if you make
Yeah.
it like a fun thing,
Yeah.
I mean, who the fuck has time? I mean, I don't live some kind of idyllic Mediterranean lifestyle where we sit out in the evening under an arboretum and
Yeah,
sip
you've got
wine
like
and
a
eat for
huge
3
bowl
hours.
filled with like fresh salad greens and
Yeah,
stuff like that. No,
that's not the way it
fucking
is.
turkey
You, like,
dinosaurs
pluck
with
a
ketchup.
tomato off the tree, and like
Yeah.
an old woman comes by with a basket and
Yeah.
brings you like some
Exactly.
cow's mozzarella.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Period, we've just freshly farmed these herbs from my garden. Would you like to add them to your ratatouille?
Come sit with us and we shall dine for hours and the children will stay up until midnight and drink wine with us also. Ha ha ha, you know, that kind of thing.
No.
Instead, they're like, I'm hungry. I'm like, cool, I've cooked a pie. Here's the pie. Here's some mash. Here's some
Spaghetti
vegetables. Eat
hoops.
it.
Here you go. And
It's
then it's
pouring with
bedtime.
rain and freezing cold and dark at 5
Yeah.
o'clock in spring. So you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
fuck this shit.
Mrs.
Yeah.
F actually hates eating with the kids because they hold their knife and fork wrong because they're little, you know. So she's like,
Of course, yeah.
don't hold your fork in that hand and your knife. And what are you doing? Cut properly, you know. I'm just like, as long as the food goes in them, job done. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
they can learn all the
I-
manners and stuff when they're older. We do
Thing
go
is,
out for meals quite
I
often. They're
worry.
very good. Like they're very well behaved. They eat their food. They're very good in restaurants because we take them out
Yeah.
quite a lot. But a day to day, come on, man. I ain't
Yeah.
sitting through that shit.
I sometimes worry about like how, because my routine is like I get back home at like 8 o'clock or whatever, shove a microwave meal in the microwave, and then just like eat it out of the tub, like while I'm walking from the microwave to my
You eat in the
computer.
bathtub.
Like sit down,
Yeah.
pay like no attention.
He does everything in the tub. He gets home, he takes all his clothes off, he eats in the tub. Then he doesn't need to get up to go to the bathroom or anything. He can just do it all in the tub.
So there's no
He's got-
water in the tub. He just sits in an empty tub.
Well, you can add water like to wash away the filth after you've fouled in the tub sort of thing.
Foul.
It's like the guy from Truman Show. Remember that guy that just sits in the tub all the time? It's like that. What a life.
Yeah.
We should all aspire to be more like that guy.
Fair play to you, Lewis. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a way to live.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's not that, you know, but I worry that, for example, because my only real piece of cutlery is a fork. Do you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
a big.
You know, you
user
could
of,
just get like plastic ones from most takeaway places.
Don't
Yeah,
get
I could- then
plastic.
I could
don't
stock
get
up.
plastic. No,
Just
don't.
chuck 'em
Well,
out.
I'm not a fan of the of ruining the world with that sort of stuff too much. I like.
Well, I mean, you're
like
using a
trying to keep it
microwave, so you
recyclable.
might as well just go full hog. Like,
That's true.
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
already already a disaster. Yesterday, actually, I decided to add an avocado to my
Right.
daily meal, and I fucking did the old stupid middle class thing of slicing my hand open. I just cut like a
crap.
big old gash in my finger,
You're right.
and it bled like fucking everywhere.
Jeez.
It was bleed. I lifted my arm above my head, and it just dripped all over. The blood dripped all over me.
Yeah, you're
and
meant
then
to
I
cover the
sort of-
wound first. You
I
don't
ran
just.
to the bathroom and dripped blood everywhere as I went. Got
Oh.
some tissue paper, dripped blood everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, this is embarrassing."
Did you clean it
It's
up?
fine now. I'm not like it's not like scabbed over, but it's like I did clean it up. I didn't just leave like it didn't
Blood
look like
everywhere.
a fucking.
Just
murder
leave it as a
scene.
warning to people. Because if a
Yeah.
burglar comes
Right.
in, there's blood everywhere, they're piecing. Like real
You could have
quick.
practiced your cleanup technique for,
Yeah.
There's like 100 Roni dolls in there, rubberized in there as well, like piled up, and just a pile is like a big pile of used Kleenex like nearby just to wipe them down.
Yeah.
My place is a real hellhole.
Sounds great.
it sounds great, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking-
Oh God, you guys should visit actually.
You showed me your place last time I was over. It wasn't actually as hellish as you described. It's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice
just
place.
yeah,
I never
just the
saw
art on
the,
the walls
basement
is what-
dungeon place. So
Oh, did
Yeah.
you not?
No, I never saw it,
I asked, but you put the diaper on like I asked though, and
yeah,
the handcuffs.
I thought that was kind of
you-
weird when you're like, do you want to come see my house? And the whole house was like covered in plastic, and you insisted on me wearing a diaper. But I went along with it anyway because we're friends and stuff. But
It was kind of you.
yeah,
Would you rather have unlimited tacos for life or
Right.
unlimited sushi for life?
oh, it's got to be
What?
for me tacos. I think for
I
sure.
know.
God,
Exactly.
would
Would
tacos
you
all the
rather
way.
go back to age 5 with everything you know now, or know now everything your future self will learn?
God,
Would you would you rather be able to control animals with your mind or control electronics with your mind?
you kind of do already control electronics with your mind, though, don't you? Like, I mean, you have to use your fingers, like, at your mind's request to action it all. But I mean, you can't really mind control an animal.
Would you rather be reincarnated as a fly or just cease to exist after you die?
I'd rather just die.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just want to be dead now, just right now.
The fuck.
Do you know what? I
Oh.
did some gardening at the weekend. We went to Squires Garden Centre. Shout out to Squires in towards Hampton. Very nice Squires.
Podcast is not
Sponsored by Squires.
No affiliation with
But-
Squires.
If you
We
want to support the
appreciate-
podcast, we got a Patreon.
Yeah.
On the Saturday, I dug up the bed at the back. Got
Right.
rid of all the rocks and cat shit and all the rest of it that's in the
What
back
kind of
there.
bed are we talking about here? Like eternal rest sort of thing, or
Flower bed.
right?
Did
Okay.
you find any skeletons?
No skeletons.
So you weren't
just a lot of
you weren't
shit.
digging graves in your backyard.
Wasn't digging graves in the backyard.
Good to
And I
hear.
How
just
full
got
of
the
cat
soil
shit was
ready.
it?
Well, the cat occasionally poops in there, right? Occasionally.
Okay.
She generally goes into the back garden of the Russian spy house because it's more private. But she will
Right.
sometimes poop in ours. So dug it all out and got it ready. Got rid of all the weeds, a ton of weeds. Because I've realized that the bird feeder, when the little seeds fall out, some of them go into the ground. So there's like all these little wheat and various grasses growing around the bird feeder, sort of in the dirt. So I had to dig all those up. Got it all ready. Went out and bought a load of lovely plants, planted them, found all these worms, and I realized because we hadn't done any gardening for a few years, my youngest hadn't really had much exposure to the bugs that live in the garden the way my eldest had. So my eldest doesn't care about any insects at all. Like she's not
I
fussed.
thought
by
you
them.
said she'd been like shitting in the
No,
garden.
no,
or
no, no.
something.
She loves
No.
insects. So I found this huge worm. She's like, "Oh, give it to me," and I put it in her hand. She's like, "Way!"
Just eats it.
And my youngest was like screaming. She was like, "Ah, what is that?" This worm that we found, I'm not kidding. It was the thickness of my thumb. It was huge. This thing
Oh
was
my God.
huge. And I was like, look at the size
That's
of
a
this.
snake.
She was screaming. Like she was absolutely petrified. And I realized she hadn't spent time with me gardening the way my eldest had, because we just hadn't been doing much gardening for the last few years. The garden's been a mess. We've been waiting to have it redone, and now we've had it redone. But she's lacks that early life experience and exposure to insects. But it was really nice. The only problem was, while we were in the kitchen waiting to get things done, put all the seeds out, some new birds have turned up. There's these 2 pigeons on the fence.
And they're eyeing up that big worm.
Oh, no.
They're like, that's a fucking hell of a. That's like a German sausage to them.
It's like the
It's like,
Frankfurter
it's a
of worms.
breakfast. Yeah, it's a breakfast. We had some people over for Sunday lunch. It's like 2 families, lots of kids. We're eating Sunday lunch, and there's these 2 pigeons, these same 2 pigeons on the back fence, and they the male pigeon is sort of dancing around next to the female pigeon, and then she just sort of bends over, and if you've ever seen a pigeon have sex, his dick sort of comes out of the middle of his stomach. It just emerges through the feathers, and he just hops on it. He just shakes like crazy, and then they're done, and they just chill.
Can you describe that like they used to describe sexual encounters in like a Playboy magazine? You know, like
I would struggle. I could struggle.
You're like, don't call it his dick, call it his throbbing love pump and
Yeah,
things
his
like
throbbing
that,
love pump, his
you have to
feathery
put a
love
lot of
pump.
like, colorful terminology around it.
I if I had time, I could, but I can't off the cuff. But so the entire family is like, oh, look at the pigeons, and then they start fucking. So I was like, God damn. So every time I see these two pigeons, my kids are like straight at the window trying to get their eye on some more pigeon sex. They were fascinated. They're like that other pigeon is riding on the back of that other pigeon. And I was like,
You go to hell for watching that.
they're making baby
Gotta avert
pigeons.
your eyes.
And they were like, really? Like this was the first time they'd ever seen anything like this in their lives. Being out in the garden now, all the little birds keep turning up. And they're all just having sex all the time, these damn pigeons. It's it's my life.
The fuck is that? It's like I don't think I've ever seen that. Maybe I have, but I just didn't realise what I was watching. Maybe I've just not been perving over pigeons too close.
I mean, you see
Are
them.
they having sex all the time?
Yeah. I mean,
don't
here's the
fucking
thing.
know.
You see pigeons all the time. You know when the male pigeon, he roughs up his feathers and goes... And they walk around like real big trying to show off. And the lady pigeons are like... and fly away. But these two
Yeah,
wood
that's
pigeons...
usually how it works for me as well.
Yeah. But these two wood pigeons, they've been paired up for like a year now. His first wife died last year. He's
Right.
found a new wife.
Right.
So she was like, yeah, cool. Like he did the dance. She was like, yeah, let's just get on with it. No problem.
Was that when he used to run the used car lot?
Now he's a
moved on.
pigeon?
Now he owns the cafe and he's got a new wife. And
Do you know
it's
what
like
happened?
It's like
They
an
asked
episode of
him-
EastEnders.
They asked him a would you rather. Would you rather that your garage business ends or that you reincarnate as a wood pigeon? And he chose wood pigeon.
Nice.
The garage business is gone, so that's the only possible explanation.
Right. Fucking good for him. That's great. That's just great. Jeez.
Was it an illegal garage business?
Yeah, that one. I've talked about it before many times. It's gone.
Have you?
Yeah. I mean, loads of people are always asking me about it. Hey, Pyrian.
Can we have an update on Pyrian, across the street, the illegal garage?
It was, well, it's gone. It's gone.
They closed
Rip.
it down.
Yeah, they brought in parking restrictions and he couldn't have 12 cars up on bricks anymore. He would have had to pay for the parking for them, so he's gone.
Right.
It was a great success.
Why didn't he just like Wallace and Gromit his house and put like a whole bunch of like levers and pulleys and stack the cars up like alongside the house and work on them that way?
Well, because he's a wood pigeon now, isn't he? He doesn't
Right,
have
okay.
the
That's why.
opposable digits.
That'll be why.
just having sex with glorious
Fucking pigeons all
in front
day
of your face.
Yeah, he's like, I'll show you, you bastard.
Do you reckon,
Complain
like...
about my garage, will you?
So, okay, here you go. Here's a question. Is soil brown because it's like millions of years of stuff like shitting in it
No.
No,
and like mold and
that's
shit?
not
No.
the explanation.
That
I don't
that
know what
is-
the explanation is, but that is definitely not it.
Is soil just the years of tree shit and like old moldy and like stuff moldering down into moldy shit, like dead stuff?
It's dead stuff.
And-
like it's mainly dead leaves and dead plant matter and some dead animals. But think about it.
mixed with shit.
Yeah, but again, it's not like that stuff doesn't get reprocessed by things that live in the ground. So the idea that there's millions and millions of years of shit piled up, for one thing, it would have been eaten by bacteria.
But like that cat shit, that just gets mixed in.
Yeah, but it eventually
over
goes
time.
away. Like it's not like you're literally digging up whole poops. Like there's all bacteria. The
It all
soil
gets
is
mixed in.
teeming
Yeah.
with bacteria.
It's like pissing in the sea.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the sea's made of piss.
It
I'm
dilutes
just saying
it.
that over millions of years.
You're saying that the shit has been diluted so that it's not like pure concentrated shit anymore.
I want to know what percentage of soil is made up of shit. What percentage is made up of decayed
0.00001%
plant matter?
is made up of dangerous shit.
Because all the oil and coal and shit in the world was made up of old plants, right, that died on the bottom of the sea and stuff,
old
right?
fossils and
crushed
stuff
over
as
years,
well, right?
and mosses and all the dead plant matter. And there's
Dead
millions of tons of that.
Dead
stuff
oily
under there.
reptiles.
It's a mixture of organic matter, minerals, gases, liquids, and organisms. It's just like a whole bunch of stuff. Are you tapping your microphone, by the way, Sips?
Oh no, sorry. I'm. Is that coming through? That's weird.
yeah.
I was like, no, I'm like jiggling my
Having
leg
sex,
under the
he's
desk,
fluffing
but
in
it's
his-
making the whole
He's fluffing
desk
in his
shake.
stuffed
It's
Glee
fucking
Creebulon.
humping a cushion.
Fucking You fucking flog
Yeah,
it
you
away.
guys do
are
that
you?
when you're sitting down. Like, do you ever just like move your leg and stuff?
Do you
I
know
don't
how to
I
stop
do.
that?
What? How?
If you move your foot out so that it is out from your knee instead of under your knee.
Right.
It's just the nerve. It's just the nerve in your knee. It's sort of a
I get
it's
it
a
all the
reflex
time.
thing. So if you put
Yeah.
your foot out more, like you're taking a
Now
step,
I'm just flexing my calves. I'm just
and now you can
flexing
flex
these.
your calves. That's cool.
Yeah.
You should try standing up. You should try standing up for the like I do. I'm standing up right now.
No thanks.
Well, I'm not really standing up. I'm kind of like leaning over.
You're hunched.
No, I'm quite happy to
I'm like-
sit. Thanks.
So you're hunched over your
Hunched.
computer talking about fleshlights, and
Yeah.
That's right.
while
Just
Sips
thinking about.
audibly masturbates on the podcast.
Well, I'm audibly masturbating on the podcast. Yeah. Just want to raise awareness that it's okay if you're rubbing your pina colada daily.
Pina colada.
Just go for it, man. Just
So did you what did you do in the garden? Did you just turn it over, or did you just like dig it over? Or did you plant something?
I have a surprising number of tools. You may be surprised to hear. Like, do you own a sledgehammer?
No, I'm not a sledgehammer. No, but I do have like a pitchfork and a shovel
Right.
and some other stuff.
I've got a sledgehammer.
Oh my god!
I've got a
I just got
pickaxe.
a wonderful image of you holding a pitchfork outside your house, Sips, with your wife next to you, like that.
Right, like
fucking
that famous painting.
picture.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
farmer.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. Once you've lived in a house long enough, you just acquire these things. You know what I mean?
You
Like
do.
I needed
Yeah,
it
it's true.
at one point.
You
did need-
acquired a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I needed
for
it.
what?
Well, you need it
Like-
for one specific thing, and then you just have a sledgehammer for
Yeah,
the rest
yeah.
of your life.
I needed it because at one point we had some things in the back garden when we first moved in, this big old tree stump, and I needed to move it out. And the only way I couldn't pull it out because it's very hard. Like these things are a tree stump is serious. Like it wasn't a
Man,
massive
didn't the
tree.
sledgehammer just bounce off the tree stump? Like,
No, because what I would do is I got a pickaxe and I
Right.
would work that underneath the base of the root and then pull it up like a lever action. But then to knock it free, I used the sledgehammer to just knock it over so I could eventually drag it out.
Right.
And we also had these weird metal poles that were obviously for some kind of clothes drying thing. So knocking those back and forth to the sledgehammer meant I loosened them enough to actually be able to pull them out. It's just, I mean, it's not expensive. It's not like your fucking sledgehammer sets you back hundreds of pounds. They're not costly.
No.
Because it's just a bit of wood with a bit of metal on the end. It's not difficult. But you do subsequently find, where's my pickaxe, you know, and you use that or a fork or whatever. So yeah, I was just
Yeah.
stabbing stuff in the back bed, trying not to hit too many worms. But yeah, it was good. It was very satisfying. I hadn't done it in a while. Weeding, you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Get that shit done.
I got to do lots of weeding now for my tortoise because he eats all the weeds. So
He eats the weeds?
he eats dandelion leaves and
Oh,
stuff.
that's so
yeah.
handy.
So you just like, you pick it all because you're going to pick it anyway. And then you just wash it off a little bit for him and give it to him and he eats it.
Is he happy?
Yeah, he's pretty happy. Yeah.
Does
Who
he ever
wouldn't be?
display any kind of acknowledgement of your existence? Like, does he?
Yeah. He responds like if you go up to his cage and you talk to him and stuff, he looks at you and comes over to you sometimes and stuff.
Hey, Sip.
Hey there, guy who feeds me. Got any more of those dandelion leaves? Comes up to the bars. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's surprisingly, he's just like this little like slow moving guy, but actually can move pretty fast when he wants to, and surprisingly has quite a nice little personality to him as well. It's like, I don't know, it's one of those things with smaller animals, you wonder if do they actually have a personality or is that you just creating one for them, like based on what you see or you want to see from them sort of thing. But either way, it works. It's
I mean,
I
like,
suppose you do that.
I think you
like
must.
a little fucking cheeky squirrel or something. You might think, oh, he's a bit of an asshole.
Yeah, you look
kind
at
of-
his face and you're like, oh, he's a little conniving shithead, isn't he? Like,
Yeah.
I've seen that look before. But like then all squirrels look pretty much the same, I guess. So like, I don't know.
I think
Maybe-
slightly bigger animals can
Do
definitely.
you ever
develop
think you'd find
personality.
yourself in a situation where you favor one squirrel over another?
No.
You know, you see one and you're like, oh, he's
Good point.
so kind
What a
and
great-
gentle natured,
yeah,
and
you can
this
just
other guy's
tell.
a fucker. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No
that's
way.
true. I watched a
Yeah.
video about this woman who had she had a beaver live in her house. She rescued a beaver.
Right.
It was, you know, and it was real sweet, and it had like a little personality. He would collect things from around the house, and he would build dams just in the hallway. Like he had this instinct to build dams. So he like her front doormat,
Out of what? Like Lego?
everything, anything that was like all his clothing,
Right.
cushions from the sofa, bits of carpet, bits of rug, towels, everything. He just bath mats. He dragged them off to dam up the hallway with.
And then he'd run the taps in the bath.
Man, it's incredible how hardwired animals are. Like, you know, like guinea pigs, from the moment they're born, they know how to do everything they need to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. I don't get it. Like, they know, because guinea pigs eat like certain shits that they produce.
Sure.
Like every couple of shits that they do, most of their shits are just like, you know, shits that are, you know, just pure waste or whatever.
Some
but
are
every once in a
keepers.
while, they do like a shit that's like super rich in nutrients or whatever, and
They'd be going to hell for that. That's in
and
the
they
Bible,
have
I'm
to
pretty
eat
sure.
it because it rebalances their gutty works, sort of thing.
All guinea pigs are in hell.
But they know to do this, which blows my mind. Like, if I was expected to eat 1 out of every 10 of my shits, I would fail so miserably and die probably as a result.
Yeah, how do
But,
they
like,
just know?
these
I mean,
small animals just
instinct
know
is a
how to
crazy
do this
thing,
stuff.
right?
Ah, it's crazy.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's nuts.
I guess it's just one of the reasons when we think about, like, you know, people think about if humans disappeared, what animal would replace them?
Yeah.
I think we often assume it would be something like, oh, there'd be really clever rats would come along or whatever. But I mean, there's really not
Oh,
much
God,
going on
yeah.
in those creatures. There's no creativity. They've got what they need. I mean, you'd need some random super smart rat to come along. Or like a guinea pig that was like a fucking
Like
genius.
a mastermind genius.
Well,
rat.
they'd have to be like they'd have to have like sentience first, though, right? Like, I don't think.
Well,
I
we
don't think
didn't
most-
originally. Whatever we evolved from originally was just a dumb animal, just like a guinea pig.
I guess so. Yeah. What do you think is the most likely then to probably like what dolphins? I guess are
Ponies.
I mean, if we go,
like not. I wouldn't say they're close, but I suppose they're closer than most. Like, I would say a dolphin has a better chance than like fucking like a garden worm, for example.
I think it's impossible to. Yeah, I agree, but I think it's impossible to suppose. I mean, if you look at whales, would you have
Yeah,
suggested?
they're pretty intelligent.
Right,
yeah.
but originally they were they evolved from the same animal as hippos.
Yeah.
So originally they were land-based creatures, and then they fucked off into the ocean and became whales. You would never have predicted that.
No.
You know what I mean? That's not something. So I don't think we can really predict because it's too random.
Yeah, this is why I think
it's not designed.
I think it's as dangerous to travel 500 years ahead of time than it is to travel 500 years back in time. Because what if
I
you
think
travel
it's more
500 years
risky.
back in time and you're expecting to see some hippos, and it's like, yeah, no, the whales haven't reached land yet.
Well, that would be longer than 500 years, wouldn't it?
That would be
No,
like
it's just an
500
example.
million
I'm not
years.
saying
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
You know, what if there's like some weird thing that you're like really disappointed about going back 500 years? You know?
Yeah, it's no
You know what I mean?
Starbucks. Yeah,
No, there's
or
no internet for one thing. I guarantee.
Where am I gonna get all my Brody porn? And when am I gonna get to go to
They
this
didn't
Magic the
even
Gathering
invite
tournament?
fleshlights back
Do you know
then
what I mean?
either, so
There's loads of stuff
bit of a
missing.
problem. Yeah.
Hello, good day, fair merchant. Where art thou, fleshlights?
My body pillow. I've been using this wool hemp sack filled
You
with
guys
straw.
have any
It's just not the
It
same.
is most rough against mine
I'm looking
personage.
for a body pillow in the theme of anime titties. Do you have such wares available in your fine establishment?
Here, I have drawn thee a sample.
What is this devilry thou hast drawn?
'Tis anime,
I'll
good
add it to the
sirrah.
Bible right now.
I reckon a lot of people would be dead happy
Thou
to go
must
back.
never take a waifu. or a husbando.
You could go back and call people milady and no one would blink. You could say, milady, and people would be like, he's not just a neckbeard. He's just a regular dude.
Yeah, that is such a neckbeard thing now, isn't it? Nobody uses milady except for fucking fedora wearing, neck-bearded, Cheeto flake covered, Mountain Dew stinking ass breath.
They respect
Fucking
women,
nerds.
Sips. They respect women.
Oh fuck.
Fucking neckbeards.
I read a thing yesterday that said like you shouldn't. This is from some neckbeard. He was like, you shouldn't ever shake hands with a woman, and there was
Right.
this whole list of reasons for it.
What was the reason?
Oh,
Did it
I
have to
couldn't-
do
I
with
couldn't get
the
beyond
humours? Their humours are located in their hands, and to squeeze them thusly in a masculine handshake disrupts the humours in the female body, and they shall enter menopause.
They excrete a hormone which will make all of your testosterone weak.
Chad knows this, which is why Chad only high fives women.
Oh my god.
All hail Chad.
Yeah, the world. That would all be banned. Just saying, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, probably.
Man, like, yeah, so I think like it'd probably be another 500 million years before we see like dolphins or whatever evolve to.
It would take a
another
long
form.
ass time, I think. Nobody's
Some
really
mammals
that
are going to
close.
survive. It would be another thing like us.
I honestly,
there's a reason we're numero uno. It's a very efficient way of being us.
yeah,
And I don't think that we would need to be replaced. We would go, humans might disappear, but some fucking mammal's going to turn into something like us
Man,
eventually.
I would just love a glimpse into like the stages of like societal evolution of dolphins. Though, can you imagine like the dolphins going through like the 80s or something? For example, that'd be hilarious. Fuck me,
Oh
that'd be
my God.
so funny. I would love to live long enough to witness that.
man.
You know,
Nice mullet,
the
Charles.
dolphin counterculture. It'd be awesome.
They're in their grunge phase. It'd be like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
Did you?
yeah, I
Did you?
would
There
love
was
that.
that show on Netflix, Robots, Love, Death, and Robots. I think it's called.
yeah, I watched it.
It wasn't bad.
okay.
There was some nice ideas. It was like a mini Twilight Zone each episode, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, it's
I
like
kinda
20
like series
10
like
to
that. I'll
15
check
minute
that out.
animated
Yeah.
I'd actually,
short
I mean, some of them are
stories.
literally just beautifully animated, but the story is like feels like an afterthought some of the time.
I hope that that's becoming
garbage, yeah.
a thing now. I really like the I really love the format of Buster Scruggs as well. I just thought I love the short story sort of like, 10, 15 minute
I've always loved
things.
short stories.
Yeah, fuck-
They're so
I loved
nice
reading
and-
short stories, and I'd love for more series to just be based around that sort of format,
Yeah, it's a good format.
Get like a season of things with like maybe episodes of 10 to 15 minute short stories or whatever. And they don't need to
Yeah,
be profound or groundbreaking or anything. Just like as long as there's nice like cinematography, good music.
Black Mirror
good
is a good example as
actors
well
and
of
shit,
like really great
awesome.
short stories.
Yeah.
But I grew up reading like Philip K. Dick and
Yeah.
Arthur C. Clarke's sort of short story anthologies, man, and they were fucking. Some of them were garbage, but there was an idea in there, little glimpse,
A
a little
kernel.
glimmer
A
of
kernel
something.
of an
Yeah,
idea.
some of them are so
inspiring.
good. You're like, holy shit! You could write just a gigantic book about this one idea. But
And often
it's
a whole
worked so
movie,
well as
like a lot of Stephen King movies, are just based on short stories he's written that were throwaway kind
The
of.
Running
things
Man was a
and
novella,
been expanded out.
for example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some of them are.
Man, the
great.
Green Mile was like a 5-part short stories series sort of thing, wasn't it?
I think the short story format turns into a movie way better than a novel.
Yeah, I
does.
think so.
Yeah,
too.
it gives you more leeway because no
Yeah.
one goes, I didn't like the actor they chose to portray these characters. Like, no. It's just an idea and you can expand on it. Definitely.
I think
like
some of
short
the best movies have been just very simple ideas. Like you look at a lot of the movies that like we would have grown up watching, like in the 80s and stuff like that. A lot of the comedies and stuff were just super fucking simple, like
Yeah.
a really simple idea, but like, pretty funny or quirky or good or whatever. And it fits the space of a movie perfectly, right? Like, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Find sometimes now, if they're trying to adapt a movie based on a very, very big book and they're trying to cram it into 2 hours, they have to skip forward so much stuff, like it's too detailed to fit it all in. And then you get into these big fucking trilogies, and then you just think to yourself, Christ, I need to reevaluate my life. Why am I spending all my time watching and thinking about this stuff when I could be doing other things? And you know what I mean? Like,
Sometimes
it
it's
goes on
nice
and on
to
and
think
on.
about stuff and use your brain. I mean, I was playing this game.
I disagree, but we'll just have to agree to disagree.
Anyway, that's enough podcast for today. We could carry on going, but we gotta
wrap it up.
Do other
Yeah, we
things.
need to don't stop.
Thanks,
Listen,
everybody.
avid listeners, 2 weeks. We're on a 2-week break because of me. You could blame me for it, but we won't be back. You'll be missing 2 weeks of podcast, but we'll be back the week after that 2 weeks, unless one of you guys is going away as
And
well.
because it's April, if you sign up on the Patreon, you should have been charged for the first time. Only a few people signed up for March, but a lot of people sign up in March, and they get charged at the start of every month. So I think 10 people bought a jug. So 10 people did a hundo.
Congrats.
Wow.
So if you
That's
guys
amazing.
change your donation back to or stop it, I'll get you some jugs sent out. So I've actually got the jugs have been made, and we got certificates
Jeez.
also, and I think we got 100 jugs maybe made total. So we're gonna get 10 of them out.
Limited
this
edition
week.
jugging. But if there is now an outbreak of jugging around Britain,
Well, thank you very much, everybody. That's great.
Yeah, and when we run out, I'm going to stop the $100 tier, so you can't sign up anymore.
jugs don't
So I
jug
don't
people,
think I can do
people
that.
jug people.
That's right.
No liability.
Jug responsibly.
Thanks for the support. Thank you for the love. Triforce Podcast Patreon. You can find it. Just Google it. And we're also doing a little bit of streaming, but you can find that as well. All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Peace out.
See you later. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.